Hi patrons! It is Sunday. We've got Melania on the table. We're doing embroidery. I would love to do her as a World Cosplay Summit piece, but World Cosplay Summit is pairs. So I'm going to need a second cosplay, which will mean this will take even longer. But Melania has a lot of different characters that would go well as a pair with her. Oh, the other thing is she would be a really great World Cosplay Summit because the rule with World Cosplay Summit is it has to be a character from Japanese media. Like, it has to be. You cannot pick something, you can't do SpongeBob SquarePants or Handsome Squidward for World Cosplay Summit. It has to be from something that came from Japan, which Elden Ring is. I've always wanted to do World Cosplay Summit, but there's only so many, like, when you also, like, can't do, like, a Sakizo for World Cosplay Summit. It has to be from an actual piece of media. If you're gonna do it, you have to select the project carefully, and if I'm making such a big, giant piece that is from a piece of Japanese media, I might as well have that as a goal to do World Cosplay Summit. I have a little bit of a beef with World Cosplay Summit with some of the rules that they have for the Saudi Arabia competition. They've got some pretty anti-LGBT, anti-trans, even just so they have some very harsh gender stereotype rules for one specific country, being Saudi Arabia, for the World Cosplay Summit branch there. So I've got a little beef with that, but I'm hoping that by the time Melania gets finished, they would revoke that. But who knows? But I mean, oh yeah, so Megan says the Saudi Arabia thing, it's not the convention, it's the politics of the country. No, I understand where it comes from, 100%. And part of me is also like, well, I don't want to exclude people that are talented cosplayers just because they live in a country with f***ed up laws. But the fact that they have to put it in their official rules, and obviously they have to put it in their rules because if somebody shows up in something that's literally against the law, then that's not good. But it makes me sick that that's a law, you know? It makes me sick. And it makes me sick that it's, like, written in their rules. If World Cosplay Summit doesn't pull it together, I would consider Cosplay Crown Championships. Astro Fox says, I am a little nervous about the MomoCon comp because ATL competition is no joke. Yeah, the MomoCon cosplay contest is fierce. But the good thing about the MomoCon one, which I love that they did, is they have a lot of awards. So there's a lot more chance for people to place. Oh, Yoitsbit says they competed for the first time at the ATL Comic-Con. ATL Comic-Con is the weird egg of the Atlanta cons. Yoits 8-Bit, what did you think of it Atlanta Comic-Con? Because that thing is so, I'm just gonna say it, it's very normie-centric. Like, when you go there, I mean, at least, I haven't been in a couple years, but every time I've been, it's like, there's hardly any cosplayers, and the cosplayers there were usually, the only times I've gone is, like, to go with other people and, like, get group cosplay pictures. And they get, like, big celebrity guests, so it ends up being people that just, like, want to come and meet, like, the hobbits from Lord of the Ring. Which is, like, fine, but it's, like, that's not my kind of convention. And I don't think I've ever even seen the ATL Comic-Con contest. Maybe kind of a dumb question, but I didn't manage to ask. If you have a degree / are studying costume construction, are you still allowed to compete? Yeah, that's gonna vary between contests. Most of the time, yeah, totally. There is, and the only one I can think of that is like this is the Dragon Con costume contests have a pro category. I think, or their masters. Some of them will have like a pro category where if you or you're not allowed to compete if you're a pro, and that means that you like make some percentage of your income from doing costumes and stuff. I know I've seen rules like that before, but if you're just like studying costume design, you're absolutely probably allowed to compete. But it'll depend on the contest. You'll just have to read the rules. And if there's not a rule about it, you can always just email them and ask. Astrofox asks, how long do you typically work on cosplay a day since becoming full-time? It depends on the day. If I don't have the materials that I need yet, like right now, I'm waiting on another fabric for the sparkly unicorn. But on Friday, I got a bunch of filmed. But generally, when I have my stuff, I wake up at like 7:30 in the morning and I have my coffee and I chill a little bit. And then usually by like 9, I'm filming. And I'm usually done filming by like 11. So like 3 hours. Which doesn't seem like a lot, but the reason I do it that way is because then from 11 to like 5 o'clock, I edit that day, right? And then also what I'll do is like, if I'm not filming, if there's something else that I also like need to sew, so like if I have 2 sleeves, I'll film doing one sleeve, but then I'll just do the other sleeve off camera, and that's like I am done filming, I'm gonna chill for a little bit, and then I'm gonna do that other sleeve, and then I'm gonna edit. But on Friday, I did like way more stuff than I normally do, just because I hadn't gotten started on the unicorn yet, and I wanted to get to a certain point that I knew I could get to. And so I worked probably like 6 hours on the cosplay that day. You with Melania is me with Gortash from Baldur's Gate 3. I'm already planning my Astorian and Carlette cosplays. I found this middle-aged rat man and now I need to learn embroidery. Yeah, it's that. She's my favorite character from one of my favorite games. And if you don't know, George R.R. Martin like helped write the lore of Elden Ring, and it like really shows. And I love the lore of Elden Ring. But also, if you missed last week's stream, I will say, so if you missed last week, then you missed me saying that I am currently reading all of the A Song in Ice and Fire books because Joe challenged me to. He said he would read my favorite book if I read all of the Song in Ice and Fire books. And I am currently on A Storm of Swords, which is book 3. I've been doing audiobooks, so I've just had them playing like non-stop. And I'm loving it. There's so much more of the lore in the books, and you get like all like the stories and stuff. All the stuff that got cut from the show obviously is in the books, which I've been loving. And they're also so funny. Like, I don't remember Game of Thrones being particularly like very funny, but there's this one line in A Clash of Kings, which is the second book. If anybody remembers in the show Game of Thrones, that part where it would probably be in season 2, where Tyrion and Cersei and Joffrey and all of like the king's people, it's when Tyrion is still the Hand, they're like going through like the streets of King's Landing, and they get attacked by a mob of people that are mad, and they're mad because they're hungry, right? This is before the Battle of the Blackwater, and they don't have any food. And there's a line where it goes like, the people were shouting Stannis and King Robb and even Renly, even though at this point Renly's dead. But then somebody shouts, "We want bread!" And the line is like, suddenly all of there was sudden 1,000 voices took up the chant, and suddenly Joffrey and Robb and Stannis were no more, and King Bread ruled them all. I literally laughed out loud when I heard that. It's such a great line. It's obviously not a line that could be in the show because it's like the narration part, but what a great line. But also, like, the more I'm reading, oh my god, I was about to say, I feel like I'm learning a lot of like words from reading this book. We're not reading these multiple books, but oh my god, I had to, like, I've been listening on audiobook, okay? But we have all of the books. There is a word that was used in A Storm of Swords a couple times, and I don't think most people have heard of this word before. I had never heard this word before, and I heard it on the audiobook, and I was like, what the did he just say? Because it is a word. It means stingy. Like, it means you're cheap. But it sounds almost exactly like the N-word. So he said it, and I was like, what the did he just say? And I was like, I went downstairs, I got the book, and I looked at it in the book. I'm like, that's a word? What does that word mean? I had to look it up. It means stingy. And apparently, they come from totally different etymologies, but it sounds exactly like a very bad word that you should not say. And I was like, oh my god. But apparently it was like a popular word in medieval English. But I was shooketh. Yoitz 8-bit says I know what you're talking about. I'm not gonna say the word, but it's yeah. But in the books you get a lot more of like the stories and stuff, and I had watched, like, when the show was still airing, I was very into watching, like, the lore videos on YouTube. And I knew the story of the Knight of the Laughing Tree, but I finally got to hear it because it's in A Storm of Swords. And the more I read these books, the more I'm like, I kind of want to do, not this year, but I would kind of like to one day do the page to stage contest at DragonCon as the Knight of the Laughing Tree, because I used to want to cosplay the Knight of the Laughing Tree, and then the show ended and it didn't, you know, nobody likes the ending. Wah. The books are still great. The show is still great, but like the first book is so similar to the first season of the show. It's like there's so much stuff that's like word for word exactly the same, but then as you get through A Clash of Kings and now in A Storm of Swords, there's so much stuff that's just like minorly different. And I know when I get to the even later books, there's like whole character plot lines that are completely like not around. But I'm almost to the Red Wedding and the Purple Wedding. We're almost to those. So I'm excited. If you have been around the streams, then you have already heard me say that a goal for this year is for me to finally do a giant roast of the awful show Heroes of Cosplay. And I have been meaning to work on it all year. I keep putting it in my planner to watch it, and I keep not watching it because because a couple things. So the biggest thing is it's cringe, and I know it's cringe. And I keep not being able to bring myself to watch it. But the other day I was finally brave. Oh, and the other thing is, like, I'm making a video out of it, right? And so to record the show, so like to get the files of the show to like record it, what I'm doing is watching it while running OBS and doing a display capture so that I can record it through the display capture. which I think I'm just going to like set it up on a playlist and get it like clean like that, but it's an ambitious project because I have a lot to say and I have not watched it in years. And the way I figured I would record it is do the display capture and then also record myself watching it so that I can like talk about it and then also get my live reactions, because it might be fun to have if I have a big reaction to something to include that in the video, because I think that's funny to have the live reaction. But then the plan is to like record the episode and my reaction and then the system is do that for each episode, edit down each episode into like a reaction video for y'all, which y'all get all of that. Y'all are going to get hours and hours of content out of this when I find the strength to continue. So it's a little cumbersome to also record myself and record the thing. It's a little bit of a cumbersome experience. I can't just sit down and watch it. I have like a specific plan to do this. It's a whole spider web of what I gotta do to do this. It became evidently clear the other day when I started episode 1 and I got 9 minutes in, but I had been recording for 40 minutes because I had so much to say. There's so much just in the first 9 minutes of that show that pisses me off. In the first episode, Holly Ann Conrad gets told by whoever the Jessica is that she needs to sex it up. That she needs to show more cleavage because they're in a competition and sex sells. My mouth literally dropped when she said that. And granted, I've seen this show before, but I saw this show years ago. And like not that I have worked on TV production, but I have worked in production. I have been on sets, okay? I've been on several sets. And I get, that was not Jessica Negri. That was not, no. There's a different Jessica. They do show Jessica Negri, and I do remember that Negri shows up, but we are not slandering Negri here, okay? It was not her. She did not say that. Somebody said it's been a long time. I watched it more than 10 years ago, and so I'm kind of coming at it with fresh eyes, but it's not age. Oh my god, the same girl. This is a whole different discussion, but I'm very fair, and I will be very fair with this in the fact that, like, I understand that production pushes narrative and production tells people to say stuff that they might not normally say. But at the end of the day, it is ultimately up to that person to say, no, that's not how I want to represent my community. Same girl. When they first introduced, because they're like on it, they do duo cosplays together. I don't know if these two people know each other anymore. Let me get this threaded because I will never do it. I will just keep ranting, and we gotta get this piece done. The same girl, and it's when they introduce her, she says, and I'm not gonna say the word that she says, and this is a thing that, like, this word was definitely not considered offensive 10 years ago by any accounts, and from what I have seen, it seems like it's only a slur in some countries, and the reason why I know it is a slur, and I'll tell you what word I'm talking about. She used the word S-P-A-Z. And y'all tell me if that word is a slur in your country or not. Because the way I found out it was a slur was I used to watch Sophia Nygaard's, she used to do live streams, and I was watching one, and Tyler said that word, and in reference to himself, and somebody in the comments let them know, like somebody in the chat let them know that in some countries people consider that a slur against people with disabilities. And I had not heard that before. And I was actually really confused about what word he had said, so I had to like rewind it and figure out what he had said. But it was that word. And he apologized for it. He legitimately didn't know. It's also something I didn't know for a long time. But she said that, and this personally makes me really angry that this is what she said about her friend. But she said that her friend, Spazed, or ES, she O-U-T. When they're in competitions, she said that Holly gets so anxious that she freaks out. And that she hates that she does that and is like, can you stop doing that? And I'm just like, that made me mad. And that was in the first 9 minutes! There was that, there was the sex line. Oh, when Yaya shows up, I was really excited. I didn't know, because they show like a little bit of Yaya like in her garage with her husband Brian. And he was like, you know the ears, the My Little Pony ears they sell? I didn't know that they hand make those. They had like a bunch of molds and he was making them. I was like, that is so cool. I didn't know that. But all of this will eventually be in a video that will hopefully come out this year. The great thing is I was talking to Joe about this, because me and Joe, we've been taking walks together. I love that boy. But no, we've been taking walks together. And I was talking to him about it on the walk. I was telling him, it's so hard to watch. I only got 9 minutes in. And he's like, didn't you want me to watch it with you? And I was like, yeah, but you said no. And he's like, well, I'll watch it with you. So yay. Now maybe Joe will watch it with me and Joe will be part of the reactions. But the reason why, the reason why I wanted Joe to watch it with me is because obviously I'm a much more experienced cosplayer than he is. He, you know, he's not involved in the, he's done cosplays, but he's not involved in the community at all, besides being my boyfriend. So he's never heard of any of these people. He doesn't know anything about these people. And the thesis statement for the video, the whole reason for the video is me trying to figure out who the f was this show for? So having a layman give his opinions is an important thing to me. So that's an exciting element. To have some of Joe's opinions and to see it from that perspective of somebody who isn't aware of who these people are. It'll be my first media critique that I've ever done. And it's a piece of media that I have so much to say about. It is something I'm very passionate about, but it is a project that is going to take a lot of my time, and I'm just going to let it take as much time as it needs to take, but it will be coming. And if somebody does it before me, I don't care. Mine will be mine, and that is all that matters. Oh my god. Speaking of slime, that made me think the other day, does anybody watch How to Cook That? I know it sounds like it's a cooking channel, but her name is Ann Reedon, and she does, nowadays she does a lot more like debunking stuff, and she just did a video about like how like most of the top YouTubers are men, and questioning to see if like the algorithm favors men. And she went through like the top creators on the platform, and like one person with the most views is like an ASMR slime channel, which, sure. Yes, Foxy McFloxy says the lady who debunks craft videos, she's great. Yeah, she debunks all kinds of stuff. I love her so much. I love her videos. She's an Australian lady. Love Ann Reedon. I love her content. That was definitely a eye-opening video, because like I knew the extent that like Twitch in particular is very male heavy. Like there's only a few like really big female Twitch streamers, and you know, in my mind, I feel like there's a lot more female big YouTubers. Okay. I think I'm gonna stop there because I don't want to do it anymore. But thank y'all for coming to the stream. Let me show you a close-up of what we got done and show the new people how far we have to go. We just did this one, but if I go back to this, see, this is why the camera was so far away this time. We've got to do all of this and this whole tree in the center. It's a lot, and it's big. Cue outro music. Thanks for watching this year-old Patreon stream re-upload. If you want to see the Patreon streams actually live or in full, then you can check out my Patreon because you can get access for just $1 a month. And a big thank you to Mel, or Pocket Leaves, who's editing these streams down for me so I can focus on my main channel videos. You can check out Mel's work on either their channel Pocket Leaves or Pocket Cons, and sometimes you'll even see me in their con vlogs. It's a special occurrence when it happens. But as always, if you're just watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, then you're supporting this channel too. So thank you. Bye!